Here we go again.
I'll write it down right here. We're here. Sneak peek. That's all you get for now. More to come soon.
I've always defaulted towards a very nihilistic worldview, even long before I had ever heard the word nihilism. It's just that when you think about the world on a macro level, everything seems so entirely meaningless that it's almost comical. We overthink things, we stress about our personal lives, we stress about our work lives, we pursue things, we try to achieve new things, we try to avoid things that stress us or upset us or scare us. We spend so much time and effort trying to do things, good things, bad things, trying to avoid certain things, trying to pursue other things. And the fact remains that no matter what we do or don't do during our time here on this earth, eventually we're all going to wind up in the exact same place because we're all going to die. And the moment that you die, everything you've done leading up to that point becomes completely irrelevant, at least on an objective level. Where you lived, what you did for work, how much money you had or didn't have, where you spent your time or what you spent your time doing, who you hung around with, any of your personal flaws, if you had personal insecurities, whatever it is, the moment you die, it all becomes moot because it doesn't matter, you're dead. Anything good or bad you've ever done, whether you were a happy or sad person, whatever, it all just comes to an end right then and there. And that can be a really depressing thought if you allow it to be, but it can also be very liberating depending on how you look at it. Because if nothing you've ever done matters and all of your efforts were wasted, well then equally anything you've ever done wrong also doesn't really matter on the grand scheme of life, and all of your worries were equally a waste of time. You're going to end up at the exact same finish line no matter what. So life is really just a capsule of time to be wasted however we choose. I tend to think of it like when you're sitting in a waiting room at a doctor's office. Let's say there's a half-hour wait. You could spend that half hour sitting there, twiddling your thumbs, looking at the ceiling, doing absolutely nothing, and it will feel excruciating and painful and like a really long time. Or you could spend that exact same half hour flipping through a magazine or playing a game on your phone or doing whatever else. But ultimately the result is the same. A half hour passes by and then you go into your appointment. And isn't that kind of just a metaphor for life? And so with that in mind, what is the point of life? What is the meaning of life? What is your goal in life? I guess it's just to do like whatever the hell you want, whenever the hell you want, because what reason do you have not to? You're going to end up in the same place anyways. The way that I see it, the only rule that exists is just not to hurt others. But beyond that, do you. Do whatever makes you happy. We are all just a speck of dust on a rock floating in infinite nothingness, and everything around us is fake and made up. Money is fake, time is fake, social norms are made up. Everything that has ever existed has just been an idea concocted in somebody's head that at some point the majority of us just agreed with and continued to go along with. And so if nothing matters and nothing's real and there's no grand meaning to life, what reason do we have not to just be happy? This is a question that I have struggled to answer for a very long time. Not because I choose to be unhappy on purpose, but just because happiness is fluid and ever-changing. Happiness looks different for everybody and can even look different for one person from one day to the next or one situation to the next, and it's complicated. I've come to the conclusion that my definition of happiness is peace and contentment. I want to have a happy life, free of stress, free of obligation, living in a home that I'm comfortable in, that I love, and having the freedom to spend my time doing what I want to be doing. But unfortunately, despite how simplistic that sounds, it's really hard to accomplish in this capitalistic dystopia that we're all living in. This society that brainwashes us all into feeling insufficient in every possible way all the time, because somebody who has found true inner peace and contentment and enlightenment is not a very good consumer. The moment that you feel that all of your needs have been met and that you are content with your life as it is the moment that other people stop profiting off of your existence, and that's the sad reality. But by building up unsurmountable insecurities in all of us and designing algorithms to constantly show us every moment of the day everything that we're lacking, we will forever strive to purchase the antidote, convinced that just that one more thing will make us happy, just that nicer home, just that nicer car, just that better job, just that better salary, just that newer partner, that one more thing is all we need, and then we will finally feel complete. And it's a lie. It's bullshit. We may think that we are the most advanced intelligent species to ever exist, but the fact remains that we are not any smarter than a hamster running in a wheel. That hamster gets into that wheel and runs for their lives, convinced that they're actually going somewhere, and they're not. And really, we're not doing anything different. The fact is that no matter who you are and no matter what you have, there will always be somebody who has something more or something better than you have. It is a race that you can spend your entire life trying to win, and you never will. And if you look hard enough, you can find flaws in absolutely anything, no matter how perfect it might actually be, because perfection in itself is a construct. Unfortunately, it's also very true that we tend to not fully appreciate the things that we have until we no longer have them, and this is something that I'm experiencing right now. I recently sold my home, the first place that I could ever call my own, a home that I loved and was comfortable and happy in. This home was more than enough for me. It was small, but I'm just one person. It was meager, but so is my income. It's true that I'm still young, and I don't know where my life will take me in the next 5 to 10 years, and there could very well come a point where I outgrew that house, but right now it was more than enough for me. It was all that I needed. Logically, I knew that it was all that I needed, and I really did have gratitude and appreciation for it. I did. But emotionally, I couldn't stop nitpicking at all the little flaws that existed within it. It was a townhouse, and so it was too squished into the neighbors. The backyard was too small to build a nice deck in it. I had to carry the lawnmower all the way through the house every time I cut the lawn. The kitchen cabinets were cheap and starting to peel. Bitch, complain, all these things were true, but I convinced myself that they were a much bigger deal than they actually were. And even more critically was I overlooked all the positives in the house, which retrospectively far outweighed these few negatives. It was small and easy to clean, the bills were affordable, the kitchen was well laid out for its size, it had tons of space, I liked the aesthetics of the finishings, my next door neighbors were nice people, I was comfortable there, I was happy there. But I became obsessed with getting a real house, a detached house. I convinced myself that that's what I needed to be happy, that just getting that nicer house, the detached house with a bigger backyard where I could have a deck and all of these things that I put so much value in, that that's what would make me finally feel happy and fulfilled. For a full year, I drove myself and everyone around me completely crazy because all I could focus on was trying to get a new house. Prices climbed aggressively and the quality of what I could afford decreased week by week, and I consistently increased my budget and lowered my standards and increased my budget and lowered my standards, all in fear that I would miss out and get nothing. As someone who's usually logical to a fault where finances are concerned, I allowed my emotions to get in the way and I fucked up. I bought a house that I don't like and I dramatically overpaid for it. And then the market dipped and I sold my townhome for too little, which meant that I lost the money that I was planning to use to renovate this house, and I never would have bought it had I known that I had to live with it in its current state because I don't like it how it is and I'm not comfortable here with how it is. And as I lied alone here on my first night, I cried my heart out realizing that I had lost everything. I had lost the home that I loved. I had lost my sense of comfort. I had lost my sense of financial stability. This house has a weird layout. It's ugly. It's dirty. It smells. The people who lived here were nasty bastards. They made a mess of everything. I bought it in such a flippant haze that I didn't even recognize the fact that the kitchen cabinets have no space and the countertop has no space and I don't have anywhere to put anything. All I can do at this point is to try to save up and try and fix it up little bit by little bit, and hopefully that will make me happy and that will make me comfortable here. And if it doesn't, then once the market recovers, I can sell it and I can move on to something new again. Maybe another townhouse, maybe an end unit, something a little bit more modest. This whole thing just feels absolutely ridiculous because I should have stayed where I was and I had everything I needed and I got greedy and I feel humiliated about it. I feel embarrassed that I tried to get something more than I actually needed and it's come back to bite me hard. I recognize that I'm definitely in a shock period right now, kind of like when you get like a dramatic new haircut and you look in the mirror and you're like, what the hell did I do? I feel like that right now, and so I'm trying to be patient and trying to acknowledge that feeling and try and give it a little bit of time to set in. But it's really hard when you don't feel at home in your home. I basically feel homesick for a place that isn't mine anymore, that I can never go back to, and it's breaking my heart if I'm being honest. All I wanted was to be happy, and despite truly knowing better, I fell for the illusion that happiness comes from the exterior. I was much happier before than I had even realized, and I just hope that I can get back to that at some point, because happiness cannot be purchased. Life may have no objective meaning, but happiness is real, and it comes from being humble and being grateful for what you have, and as much as this sounds like some hippy-dippy bullshit, happiness really does come from within. I just wish that I had figured that out a little bit sooner. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and hit the like button. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing to the channel as well, so I can keep you up to date as I try to renovate this place a little bit, as I try to make myself feel a little bit more at home and try to just kind of see where this mess unfolds and how everything goes. You can also follow me along on Instagram at according to Nicole with underscores between each word. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching as always. I will see you next week, and yes, the house tour is coming soon, but unfortunately I can't share the stink that I am experiencing right now through the camera, so you're gonna have to just take my word for it. It smells like a fucking landfill in here. Take care, see you next week. Oh my god, Levi, this thing's bigger. Levi,